Welcome back to another episode of the What Everybody podcast. Episode 113 of the WBP is here and ready to go. It's a weird time here in Los Angeles with the wildfires, but the podcast must go on. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about Spotify. We're going to talk about generational bands. Are there any new generational bands? We're going to figure that out, and much, much more. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. So with no further ado, Ryan and Jonny. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the What Everybody podcast. Episode 113. 13 is a good number. People say it's bad luck. I don't want to fall for that. It's good luck. By any chance, do you remember who we had on episode 13? Episode 13.
Episode literal 13, I do not recall. I'm a bad host.
I'm going to see if I can figure that out. I never looked. I should have
Jeez, you gotta be anticlimactic boy over here.
Listen,
anticlimactic.
It was off the cuff. That was all totally off the cuff.
Holy crap, I thought you actually came with something.
I did.
Should have known you'd laid a big old milk dud right.
Well, that was just
minute and a half into the podcast. Jonny lays his first milk dud.
It was improv. Like I didn't think I was going to get caught up on episode 13.
Johnny Milk Duds over here.
Yeah,
Johnny Milk Duds, thinking that I remembered who would have 100 podcasts ago.
I'm surprised, if I was to be honest.
You're the one that's supposed to be Rain Man with the memory. I thought you were going to come in with some Rain Man shit.
Dates, pal. Dates. You're distracting me from what I'm trying to do, which is look up episode 13. Levon was episode 31. I thought he would have been earlier.
Well, hey.
Okay.
First of all, shout out Levon. Second of all, what date was that? What date was that?
Dude, it's a good one. It's a good one. Let's see what the date was on this bitch.
Thought you remembered dates. Holy crap, Milk Dud number 2.
Well, listen, I haven't looked at the date yet, but if I was to guess the date, we did the first episode on May 5th, and we did a week every week for the first while. So I would say my guess would be this episode is roughly around June 14th or 15th. And
boring.
The answer is, shut up, dude. Be nice. Let's see. Yeah, there's July 28th. I was off by a month and a half. But still, July 28th, 2021 is when we did episode 13. And could you take a wild guess? Take a wild guess of some of our early guests and think, who could have been episode 13? Early.
I'm crickets, baby. I'm crickets.
I'll give you a hint. It was our first guest that was any kind of notoriety.
What's the question?
Who was episode 13?
You said it was Levon. You just said it was Levon Webb.
No, I didn't. No. I said Levon was episode 31. I'm surprised. I would have thought that was earlier, is what I was saying.
Was it Nader DePriest?
Yes.
From London?
Yes.
That episode was happened.
Well, that guy was an interesting character, that's for sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
I really hate
up,
wearing
pal?
these big cans on my head.
Yeah, what's up, pal? Nice cans.
Thanks, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm tired as all get out today, but I'm going to power through it. Got up early today.
I've been up early every day, even when I don't want to be. I had an experience this morning that really was irritating. And this is going to be off the topic of entertainment and the arts. I'm going to the topic of car insurance. Car insurance is bullshit. Bullshit. So yesterday.
You know what else is bullshit is car warranties. They tend to not cover lots of stuff.
No, they tend to go out just when you need it.
Hence why I was up early this morning. Continue.
We'll get to that. What broke in your car?
I needed to get a new spark plug. It's a wear and tear item, so it's like getting your brakes replaced. Like it's not going to be under your warranty.
Okay, so yesterday I woke up early and I went to McDonald's for breakfast, craving for one of those steak and egg bagels. I love those things. I get it, no butter, no cheese, no onions, no flavor, and no sauce. It's got plenty of flavor, plenty of salt on that meat part of the sandwich. Okay, I eat everything plain, dry guy. I like my women like I like my fucking food, plain. So check it out. That
thought you were gonna say dry.
No, that'd be horrible. So I pull in to the McDonald's And when I park, there's no cars around me. As a matter of fact, the parking lot is completely empty because it was like 7 a.m. Okay?
Yeah. You were up early.
I go in. Yeah, I get up. I've been getting up real early every day. Even when I go to sleep, like today, I went to sleep at 1 o'clock last night. I woke up at 7. I just wake up at 7 every day. I go get my food. I come out. When I come out, there is a box truck parked next to me, and it's taking up their space. They're in my space, and they're in the space next to them. So they're parked diagonally. I go to reverse. And when I reverse, I'm looking at
the parking lot's empty, and they pulled 3 spots. They take out 3 spots next to you.
Yeah, and not to mention, this box should have never been in the parking lot. It should have been parked on the street. It was a box truck. It was like a moving truck. There was no reason for it to be there. It's stupid. What an uneducated box truck driver, for Christ's sakes. So then I go to back up. I'm looking at the screen in my car. I go to turn my wheel right. And what do? My fucking side mirror hits their fucking back of their truck and breaks the light on my side mirror. Annoying. So we exchange information.
It's annoying. That's on you, though, right? Like,
well, see, don't take this. They're in my parking spot. This is what happened with the insurance company. It's bullshit. They're in my spot. I got pictures to prove they're in my spot. I turn my car right. I hit his truck. And because I'm the only moving vehicle, they tell me they're only covering 20% of it. So I told them to cancel the claim.
Are you just going to let it go? Or are you going to?
Dude, it is a light cover to my side turn signal light on my side mirror. A $500 deductible for that, I could figure out a way to change that shit myself. But when they called me and told me they're only going to cover 20%, I'm like, I sent you pictures. They're in my spot. I sent pictures of this. They're like, yeah, but you're the only car moving. What was your reasoning for saying it was my fault?
What was the total? Well, because
I don't know.
You were the car moving. Yeah.
I don't like
bullshit. I don't agree with it.
That's such bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. There's no damage to their truck.
I'm a man of principle.
It is. It's a man of principles, and that's a fucked up thing. I'd rather let my light stay broken than go pay a $500 deductible.
What was the total? Do you know what the total would have been?
No, because I got the text from the State Farm that said, take this in and they'll take your $500 deductible when they take it in. I didn't go to get an estimate. I just picked the body shop.
What if it cost $100?
The deductible's $500.
You pay $500 even if the repair is $100?
Well, I don't know. But if the repair's $100, I'll just go do it myself. But it's
just take it to like a corner shop or something.
It's not going to be expensive. It's just the corner panel it's the light cover of my turn signal on my rearview mirror.
Yeah, take it to Norm 76 in West Hollywood. Shout out Norm 76 in West Hollywood. The guy does good work.
Is he cheap?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I'm not saying he's cheap. He's fair. He's very, very fair. I've taken my car there plenty of times.
I love that. You text me his info.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, I'm having this smoky looking feature on my camera again. What if my lens is dirty?
Yeah. Speaking of smoke, how's that was an unintended segue, but how's everything out there, man?
Oh, well, there's something to talk about. We haven't talked about this because we haven't had a podcast. Yeah. Since we've had our last podcast, our city in which you're not here at the moment
is on fire.
Is on fire. It's in flames. It's pretty crazy, dude. Pacific Palisades is straight up
gone.
Okay, so a couple of landmarks that are gone.
Yeah.
What's the
name?
Way to
go, SoCal Edison. That's who they're blaming, huh?
Is that what's happened? I didn't.
They have like three lawsuits. They have like 3 lawsuits filed against them because one of their like boxes or whatever. I guess they have footage of like the box that started the Eaton fire with like,
oh man,
like it was like not like the growth was like around it and it wasn't kept up with. And they're trying to say that it was an inactive box, but I guess people in that area had power at the time.
And what do they say is the Palisades cause?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's all the same. Like, because the wind was bad, so didn't one fire started and then it was taking those embers. Well, the Eaton fire was that footage. Did you see the footage of the palm tree? Now, a palm tree on YouTube's, you could see what I'm doing with my hand. A palm tree is like this normally, and the wind was so strong, it's doing this and like fires just shooting off it.
I should get this footage. Well, this doesn't have fire on it, but I should get the footage from Felipe. I asked him to send it to me. He's got footage of the palm trees like fucking going crazy during the windstorm. Like, because he's outside his house, he's got the super crazy high, tall palm trees.
Yeah.
All the way down his block. So he says he's got footage of those during the windstorm, the heavy.
I was interested in why, because when you look at some pictures, it's like all complete destruction from the fire, and then there's palm trees still standing. And I was like, why is that a thing? So I looked it up, and it turns out that palm trees are incredibly durable. They have like a I forget the word that they used for like their outer shell is like very, very like durable, and inside is almost like a human, like it's vascular. So that's how they
Dude,
live through fires.
It would be, thank God, because could you imagine if
they all burned?
Well, not if they all burned, but like any windstorm would bring those down. They're so tall. I always wondered how those thin palm trees didn't constantly fall over.
Yeah.
Gotta fix my hair, dude. It's just driving me insane, bro.
Is that your way of changing the subject? Dang, dude. You are an animated fellow.
I told my therapist, I'm like, I'm going to make a bet that I'm probably going to be the most unique client you've ever had.
Yeah, I would have had to evacuate last week.
From the Runyon Canyon fire.
Yeah. I think they're calling it the Sunset Hill. I think they're calling it the Sunset Hill fire, but they got that one contained.
Back to what I was saying, though.
Yeah.
The destruction is insane. They're like so the house is on the ocean down PCH, burned to nothing.
Gone. It's so bad.
They're on the ocean.
Sad.
You got to think that you would think that there's the false illusion of safety being next to a ginormous mass of water like that, right? That you think like, there's no way we live next to the ocean. Like these houses are literally on the sand. So like they're down. Do you know that restaurant in some famous places went, dude? That restaurant on the PCH in Malibu called Moon Shadows?
I saw a photo of that. I can't say that I've ever been there. But I saw several people commenting on that.
Dude, that place has been there for years. That was a place that like it was one of those places you'd go in and you'd see who's that crazy actor who was lost his mind.
Oh yeah,
one of those crazy actors who lost his mind. It was like his.
Maybe it's better that you can't remember his name.
Yeah, probably. No, but he's one that everybody knows lost his mind. He was in Lethal Weapon. He was a bad guy in Lethal Weapon. He's got a space in his teeth.
Gary Busey.
Yes, exactly who I was thinking of.
I never saw Lethal Weapon.
That's exactly who I was thinking. What made you say Gary Busey then?
I don't know.
Space. You said it right after I said the space in the teeth.
Maybe it was the space thing. He has a space thing. Okay, whatever. Cool. Gary Busey. Shout out.
But he was like his regular hangout. Bill Hill, my old roommate, you would always go into Moon Shadows and see him there constantly. It's a place right in Malibu that. Dude, what's crazy is this: the place that burnt to rubble, besides Altadena, which burnt to rubble, and unfortunately, we have a dear friend who was affected by that, and our heart goes out to him. It happened in the richest neighborhood in the city.
Being honest, several friends I can rattle off right now.
You know, the Palisades fire is arguably the most richest neighborhood in Los Angeles. Malibu, Pacific Palisades, they're next to each other. It's like Pacific Palisades is just like Malibu. It's the neighborhood in between Santa Monica and Malibu. It's Pacific Palisades. It's just neighborhoods on a mountain next to the ocean.
You know,
it's the structure. In the town of Palisades, like in the center of town, the Starbucks is gone. All of the businesses, the Gelson's burnt down.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
Think of this though, because I don't know if they have rent control or not or whatever, but think if you've lived in a house for 20 plus years and then now you go try to get something comparable. The market value is in 20 years, it doubles and then doubles again.
Well, let me ask you this question.
You could throw a stone and hit $30,000 a month.
What about those people who lost their houses or apartments? I mean, if you don't have enough money to put a down deposit,
I think
security deposit and first month rent, what do you do? Do you think the government's going to give any assistance? There's got to be some kind of disaster. Yet. Well, that's not true. That's not true.
Well, and then
you can hit up certain government departments and get what a tragedy. What do they call this kind of event?
natural disaster insurance?
Yeah, there's definitely natural disaster grants out there, for sure.
Well, I heard that I'm not certain what authority to, but they're going to step in and not allow the insurance companies, because about a month ago, insurance companies cut like a bunch of people's fire insurance. How shady is that shit?
Yeah,
I heard that whatever.
So like, let me ask you this: they're cutting the insurance. What were you going to say? They're going to make the insurance companies cover these people?
I read that. Yeah, they're not going to allow them to drop people's fire coverage.
Think about this for a second. We don't want to give people in California fire coverage because we might have to actually pay for shit. We'll only give fire coverage to places that are unlikely to catch on fire. Think about that. Think about it. The most likely place to have natural fire disasters is California in this country, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to stop giving insurance to the one state that needs it. People are paying high premiums for this shit.
The highest tax state in the United States, too. Yeah, don't forget that part.
Well, what's that have to do with insurance?
Doesn't have anything to do with insurance. It's just expensive. I don't know, man.
Why are you getting all fucking like flustered and like?
Because it's sad, dude. I didn't get like that. That was a weird noise. I don't like that you made it.
No, dude, it's super sad. And living here, I'll tell you this much: there's an underlying people on edge tone is back. Remember after the pandemic, when people were just like fucking on edge, like leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. I feel that back again.
Because the air's toxic too, so everybody's walking around with masks on again.
It's not so bad. It was bad the first day. The first day was really bad. Last Thursday, when I went to therapy,
Here's the thing. I'm going to cut you off. Expand upon my point. So you have, what is it, AQI, Air Quality Index? You have that. And that's what
it was
happens
100. It was 130 last week.
So you have like brush fire.
But it's at 50 something now. It went down 80 points. But I'm just letting you know it's gone down.
Oh, well, I'm just about to let you know something else. What's not factored into the Air Quality Index is structural fire. Whenever you have a structural fire, there's like asbestos, there's lead, there's plastic, there's all that stuff is in the air now.
It's a war zone here, dude.
Okay.
I haven't driven to the areas that are the worst affected because I figured they're evacuation zones, so you're not allowed in there. I came a little close to the evacuation zone. My apartment is in the San Fernando Valley, and the valley was surrounded by 5 big fires. There was the huge ones were the Palisades and the Eaton one, which was Altadena, right? Then there was 3 smaller ones, one of them being the one you talked about. Another one happened on a house caught on fire in Studio City up in the hills, but they got that out really quick. And then another one in the West Hills. And my house was a mile from the evacuation warning line. So Encino still may be in an evacuation warning. I'm not quite sure. I have some crazy footage from being in the valley. I'll send you those pictures. I might have already sent them to you if you want to throw them up here. But
I will. I'll also, a friend of mine that lives across the street from my apartment evacuated, and he took a picture from his balcony before he left of the Sunset Fire. I was 1 block. The mandatory evacuation ended at Hollywood. You know where Hollywood is for me? So I was half a block, but I was in the yellow, and the yellow is like, and he was in the yellow too. So he was like, just felt comfortable. Yeah, he was like, and the picture that I'll put on this, you'd be like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah. No, it's some crazy shit. Yeah.
Dude, anyway. I'm going to continue to use this podcast to express my dislike of Spotify. Just was going to run a couple numbers by you because I read yesterday that they're now estimated at $93 billion. They're worth $93 billion.
Yeah.
The CEO's worth $7 billion.
Guy probably couldn't write a song if his life depended on it. The owner of Spotify is worth $7 billion.
Yeah.
That's infuriating.
It's infuriating,
is infuriating, dude. It is infuriating. Did you guys pull all your shit from Spotify?
Yeah, we did. They would have put it back up, but we would have had to pay to get it put back up. I'm not paying them. They're already not paying up. If you get 1 million plays, it yields about $3,000-$4,000.
Do the math on that. If that was radio at 25 cents.
Yeah, right. Totally. 2023, Spotify paid out to artists $9 billion. Okay.
How much
Sounds
of that went
great.
to big artists? How much
Sounds
of that
great.
went to the big artists? Yeah.
Sounds great when they say we paid out $9 billion. Guess how many artists are estimated to be on Spotify? 11 million. 11 million are estimated to be on Spotify. Okay. So if you do the quick numbers on that, that's $818.18 per artist.
And that's if you split it evenly.
That's if you split it evenly.
That's if you split it evenly.
You think Captain Chuck over there with his 7.1 billion wants to live on $818 annually? It's just highly infuriating to me, dude. I know our podcast is on Spotify, whatever.
Oh, well, I'm sure that's not our mainstreams. But I'll say this. That whole game is getting even crazier because what's happened is the record labels are now in bed with Spotify.
Yeah.
So in a way, it goes back to needing a label. It's infuriating. I mean, I'm at a loss of words.
I'm glad you brought that up. Check this out. So this video was going around, and tell me what you think of it.
What is Discovery Max?
That's the CEO.
Discovery Max is a perfect example. It's a service that helps artists.
Discovery Max is a service in which you take a bigger share of the artist's royalty and in return offer them extra promotion.
Well, Discovery Max is an exchange between Spotify and the artist.
It is straight up music industry payola, and it has to stop. You're splitting hairs, Mr. Eck. You reduce the artist's royalty, and in return, you fix the game.
We're not fixing anything.
The major record companies own almost 20% of Spotify, don't they?
It's possible. It's around the number, yes.
So, the musicians are on the labels. The labels own part of Spotify. Spotify decides which musicians get promoted, and then the income from the streams goes straight back to those labels. What part of that does not sound like a cartel?
We're not a cartel.
You control the market. You're in bed with your suppliers. And then at every turn you use your reach and your technology to drive down the share that you pay musicians.
Fucking awesome. When was that?
Yeah. So I don't know, the reason that I wanted that felt like acting.
When was that? No, when was that?
It was going around like 3 days ago. So I'm not certain. I don't have any context. I don't have any information about it. Didn't research it. But
well, let me research it. What am I researching? Spotify Congress? When did that happen? Because I'm curious when that happened.
It was probably just edited. It felt like an acted video, but those were that's the real CEO of Spotify. It just felt like he was acting or something. He was like, did you get that?
It's like from 2 years ago. I didn't get the vibe was that fake video? Was that not real? It's from 2022.
Got the vibe.
I mean, the lady's so right. And how do they get away with it? It's a monopoly. It's a fucking monopoly.
I remember a couple of years back, whenever I believe, I don't believe, I know it was Universal Records because we were on them at the time. They got sued for payola. As a result, my band got dropped.
Why did you guys get dropped? What's that have to do with you?
Just got rid of a lot of people.
I heard recently, I think we might have talked about it, I'm not sure. Major labels are dropping a crazy number of artists. I heard it from a reliable source. And what I heard was all the people they're dropping, guess who the people they're dropping are?
I don't know.
All the social media Instagrammers or social media influencers that have millions of followers that they signed, release a single, spit it out to their 15 million followers, and then get the money. They basically rape these people. We're going to sign you. We're going to make a bunch of money off your song.
They sign them, they make the money, and then they don't have a follow-up, so they drop them.
Not even that they don't have a follow-up. It doesn't even seem like they give them a chance to follow up. It's kind of like we got to cut the fat. We got what we needed from these people. They're not a star. They had followers. They're out.
They do that. They sign people for a song, and then maybe give them a chance to get another one out there. But yeah, they sign you for a song.
I don't even think these people were signed for a song as much as signed for their followers,
for their popularity.
That's what it is. They signed them for like. I know of a band that got signed to Earache Records solely off of their followers I remember being sent the record before it came out and thinking to myself, this is the worst production on this record. I'm not going to mention band names because I don't find the need to
you don't need to
dog anybody
to make your
but
point.
this band was totally signed because of their followers. Now, granted, this band has not been dropped, and this band is getting some cool things, but their music's like. Bottom line is, dude, think about how many bands get signed every year and how many bands actually have a career. Granted, a lot of it has to do with timing and luck, no doubt about it. But if you're good, the cream always comes to the top. Just always does. So if you get into that level, dude,
you need a lot of luck. You
dude,
need a lot of time.
How did I start this?
You need a lot of right place.
How did I start it? How did I start this, Mr. Pessimistic?
I wasn't listening.
Right, obviously. I started this
kidding.
By saying you need a lot of luck and being in the right place at the right time. I started it by saying that. But after that, dude, there's lots of bands that have careers out there who, once you stop looking at the fucking time, will make me feel a lot better. You always look it up. What do you look up at when you're looking up?
I look up at my camera. It's right there.
You're always like this. It's annoying. Anyway, if you can get into the level, you got to get to that level. Getting to that level is the hardest part about it. The hardest part about it. Then you can get the people who can make that luck happen for you. But until you get to that level, you're not going to get the people you need that can pull the strings to make shit happen without just stumbling into the right place at the right time, which ultimately is what we're all hoping for.
There's no more like, how do you say it, decade-defining bands anymore. You know what I mean?
That's the industry's fault.
Like think of the 60s. Just shout names out. 60s. You got the Beatles. You got the Stones.
Jimi Hendrix,
Janis
the Doors.
Joplin, Doors. 70s. You got
Zeppelin, Kiss,
Aerosmith, Queen.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah. 80s. You got
Steppenwolf might have been the 60s.
80s. You got what? AC/DC.
AC/DC is definitely the 70s.
70s.
You got Motley Crue, you got Poison, you got Def Leppard, you got Skid Row, you got all those bands. Plus you got bands like Wham, you know, if you want to go into pop realm, or you got all sorts of stuff. Huey Lewis and the News, Men at Work.
Huey Lewis and the News. 90s, you got what? Guns N' Roses.
No, that was the 80s.
Yeah, I guess.
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out in 91. Black Crows, Oasis, Blur, Weezer.
Then you can get into grunge. I guess you can get
Primus,
into not I guess
Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Rage Against the Machine. All those are 90s bands.
And then it starts to get harder. Go to the 2000s.
Blink 182.
Yeah. My Chemical Romance.
Jimmy Eat World. Which might have been tail end of the 90s. Yeah. My Chemical Romance, which was the tail end of the 90s, I think. I think that was 99.
Like Avenged Sevenfold, I guess you could throw into there. They're still
Avenged Sevenfold, yeah. They broke in like 04 or something.
Yeah. Now, 2010s.
No idea.
I'm not trying to be... I can't think of any band from 2010s.
But this goes down to me saying from the beginning of your statement that it comes down
Killers?
to the industry.
No, Killers were 2000s.
2000s.
Yeah.
The industry did this because the industry got taken over by corporations. And once it got taken over by corporations in the 80s, it became a bottom line business. Where prior to the 80s, the guys who ran the industry in the 70s and the 60s, they were music fans who ran the business. Where guys in suits and corporations took over the 80s into the 90s, and slowly but surely, they stopped letting the development of bands happen. We've talked about this before. Yeah. Rush doesn't come out today because they don't have the 5 records to develop. Kiss never becomes Kiss because they're dropped. They get dropped after their first record for not selling anything. Journey wouldn't be Journey without having the chance to develop into Journey. Their earlier albums were progressive albums. They didn't sound anything like Journey before Steve Perry joined the band. Mm-hmm. And they did 3 or 4 records. They did 3 or 4 records before Steve Perry joined the band.
Did not know that.
Yeah, man. He joined in the late 70s. They've been around since like the late 60s, early 70s. So now just watch that path, going back to the Spotify now. First, they take away the chance for a band to develop into being a great band, to answer your question, why we don't have any memorable bands anymore. Secondly, as time's gone on, now the record labels are in bed with the radio station, essentially, which when it was a radio station, it was illegal to fucking do payola. So in return, they would do things like buy advertising and things like that. Now it's back to straight up payola.
Right.
Monopoly payola. So it's just everything about it, from taking away the chance for a band to develop. It's not a realistic. It's not a realistic business model they have. They're gonna ruin the business altogether. Is what's gonna happen.
It's that whole like, well, we're not gonna pay you, but you're not gonna get paid, but you're gonna get an opportunity.
There's no reason anybody should make money off something you create. If you create a coffee drink and Starbucks sells it, you're gonna get paid on that because you made the drink.
Do you think there will be a correction? How can there be a correction?
Wow.
What has to come along for artists to get paid for what they're doing, or is Pandora's box already open?
Well, I mean, I think you'd have to take the government getting involved, to be honest with you, because otherwise, this is the problem with where we're heading with our political situation too, is that the rich people are just in charge. And as long as the rich people are just in charge, then the rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer. And the record companies and Spotify, they have enough money to pay the politicians, which is probably what they did after 2022. We never heard another thing about it. That thing you just showed, that happened 2-3 years ago. We've never heard another thing about it, probably because the right pockets got lined. And now with the administration going into office, there's no chance for the artists to survive in that climate. In that sense, like, unless you do it yourself, which is what my band does. If you're not going to let my band develop into the band that we are going to eventually be, then we're going to go out and develop ourselves. So what do? We go out and we've played 135 shows since we created the band. During a pandemic, we created the band. And since the pandemic's ended, it's pretty impressive. We've done 135 shows. And I think that is just goes back to the philosophy of like, I'm doing it like we're a band from the 70s. The only way to fucking go out there and really make this shit happen is to tour and build it and tour and tour and tour. And the only way to make money in this business is by touring. That is how the artist makes money. So for any bands out there or artists out there who don't want to tour, well, then you're never going to make money in this business. That's just the reality of it.
It's also going to result in quality. This is my own personal thought. The quality of music has to go down. It's gonna go down. Why would anybody get into it? If you can get a free account on Spotify and you can listen to the bands on there for free. They're making nothing, and then Spotify keeps adding stipulations. Now you have to have 1,000 plays. Now you have to have X amount of monthly listeners. Now to qualify to get
what's the 1,000 play thing for? What's the 1,000 play thing?
As of this year, you have to have a minimum of 1,000 plays to get paid out by Spotify. Which now, if you have under 1,000 plays, you're not going to make a lot of money. You
might want to think about quitting.
But the principle of the fact that they're putting qualifiers on that thing already is crazy. You have to have X amount of monthly listeners. That happened to our podcast. We got our ads pulled because we didn't have X amount of monthly listeners at a point. So it's like, how do you expect people to get started? I guess it comes back to social media. That's the.
You know what it comes down to, Ryan? It comes down to money. Quality of music. We talk about not having any bands that were like great bands of today. We talked about how there's no chance for them to develop. Think about this for a second. If you listen to the first Rush album, what is it? A 50% chance you'd be into the band? It took something like hearing Tom Sawyer or Red Barchetta or 2112 to love Rush.
Not only that, but you gotta, that song is on repeat on classic rock. So like the only reason that I know Tom Sawyer is because it's just on repeat on classic rock, Right.
Yeah. It goes back to like I was saying about if you're not going to develop my band, then we'll develop ourselves. And I'll just say, just from touring and doing all the shit we've done, our next album is going to be a little bit of a growth from the first album. Like we're going to, it's going to sound like the same band, but you're going to hear the growth in the songs. Just because those first songs we recorded, we had never, when we wrote them, we had never toured. They were the first songs we ever wrote. Now, like we have songs we've been playing on the road for 2 years that aren't even on an album yet, so we've had time to develop as a band, chemistry wise and performance wise. And that's what's missing. And if bands aren't willing to do that, then it's a problem because the labels aren't going to allow you to do it, man. It's really sad. What about these 18-year-old bands sign this record deal, think they're going to be rock stars, and then like the label's like, oh, you only sold 30,000 streams the first album, you're dropped. You know, it's that old thing that like when Nuclear Blast was interested in the Mercury Riots, and they were like, you know, we listen to your album every day in the office, but if only you had 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. It's like, isn't that your fucking job? What does a label do? You want the band to get the people to follow the band. You want all the streams up. You want all the video views up. You want all the record sales up so you can just come in and take the money that I've already generated. What fucking part do the labels do? That's what I want to know.
The problem with it, too, is if you take away one source of income, which is paid for your music, if you take that source away, now you're forced to live on the road. I don't want to live on the road. I want to tour.
Nor do I. Yeah,
I don't want to live on the road and never come home. How else are you going to do it? You know,
right?
Merch, but you're going to make more merch on the road.
I'm willing to do that until I can control my own shots. So I'm willing to spend the next 5 years every day on the road. If that means 5 years from now, Felipe and I can sit back and say, you know what, dude, let's do 3 2-month tours this year, take half a year off. That we can. But you got to go out there and build it. The more you put in, the more you get out. You're not just going to get handed. You know, I have a friend's band who thinks that they're just going to start hopping onto tours with big acts. I'm not going to mention any names because they're friends, and it's not your band. So, you know, I'm not talking about you guys. But they think they're just going to jump on tours with national acts.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, every agent in the world is trying to get their baby band onto these national act things. You guys play no shows and you expect to be just given that chance. Why?
Crazy.
It is what it is. But, you know, we've chosen it. It's our path, you know.
It's fun though, man. You know, like I've thought about this a lot. It's like take the good with the bad, but like the good's pretty darn fun whenever it's good, you know, right?
Well, that's the thing. You know, I don't think we would do it if we didn't love what it is we do. But I will say to your point that when you have the good moments on this job, it's better than any good moment you could have in an office job. That's for sure. Like,
what would a good moment from an office job entail? Would be like
4:30 comes, you know, you got a half hour left to work.
Yeah, you know, when you get to go home. You know that you're guaranteed a lunch break.
Yep. You know you're like out of here soon. That kind of shit. But what's the worst feeling about having an office job? Getting up in the morning knowing you got 8 hours of hell ahead of you.
And you said something in one podcast that I quite agreed with. You're like, you don't really intend to be miserable, but like whenever you do that day to day, and then like you compound it by a couple of years, and then you compare where you were to where you are, you get angry because you're not where you want to be.
I think the flip side, if I was able to wrap my mind around the concept of being appreciative for what I've already achieved, as opposed to what I haven't. I mean, there's a fine line of thinking. It's the glass half empty versus the glass half full. You know, I haven't achieved what I want to yet, so that's the glass half empty. Or I could sit here and say, but I've been fortunate enough to tour for the last 20 years with 4 different bands. That's quite an achievement in itself.
Glass overflowingly full.
You know, on that note, everybody.
Yeah, we were serious today, but it's okay. It's okay.
Well, these are topics that affect us personally.
It's okay.
You know, I mean, like, it's hard to get on here personally and be super joyful guy when the city's on fire. Okay. Let's call it what it is. Like, we're not even promoting shows right now because it just seems like not appropriate.
Yeah. It's not appropriate. Also, they're getting canceled. Are they like starting to pop back up?
I don't know. I was supposed to go to Candace's show last weekend and it was canceled.
Yeah, it was canceled.
On that note, everybody, thank you for joining us on this deep, serious issue of episode 113. Kind of goes with the 13 in this one, right? Kind of the 13 and the vibe of this episode.
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. You can have one of your milk duds back.
Yeah, thanks. I love milk duds. You know they're bad for the teeth. They're really good. You just got to suck on them for a while, get the chocolate off, loosen up the caramel. Whole nother story. But everybody, please like, subscribe, and report. Hit that little bell, ding, 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 if you haven't hit it yet. And make sure you know when...
We smashing the like button still?
We'll smash the like button. Fucking hate that.
It's cringy. So cringy.
But ringing the bell's good because that means every time a new episode comes out, you will get a notification on your wherever, whatever source you use, your computer, your phone, whatever. Thank you. Thanks for joining us here on another episode. Episode 113 of the What Everybody podcast is coming to an end. And everybody have a great couple of weeks. Until next time, see you later.
See ya. It's a long goodbye.